I see. Is there at least a name I can cite as my source? Why am I not surprised? As long as the evidence is adequate and verifiable, I expect it'll be aired within the hour, if not sooner. Now, if you'll excuse me, I obviously have some work to do.
Don't cause any trouble.
I believe you were specifically told that we did not want a body count on this assignment. Your best is sorely lacking. All the tools at your disposal, and yet here we are. I hope you at least attempted to use the internal neuroamp. And yet not useful enough to avoid a body count? Still, it's good to know the applications are proving themselves. So now it's just a waiting game for SSNN to break the news. Once the story airs, we have another board meeting scheduled to decide how to handle Infinity. Go ahead, Maeve.
The SSNN broadcast has started. Shall I patch it through?
Yes, thank you.
The murders are believed to be linked to a new investigation where Drexler would have been accused of numerous violations, including murder for hire, unauthorized human trials, and corporate theft. Authorities representing the UC and the Freestar Collective have been dispatched to a consolidated mining station and the clinic. Both locations are believed to hold numerous victims. Drexler's motivation appears to be an attempt to launch a new product based off stolen information from a competitor. The details on the project itself and the competitor have yet to be confirmed. This has been David Barron for SSNN.
Perfect. This exposure puts Infinity right where we want them. The meeting will begin momentarily, but I want you to discuss the options we have with the other members. Infinity's net worth is about to hit rock bottom, so this gives us the opportunity to win a little more public faith. Infinity is about to crumble before the eyes of the public. They employ thousands of people, and those thousands of people are now worried about their jobs. That's where we come in. First, we'll issue a public statement expressing disgust at their leadership, but sympathy for the innocent workers. That's when we offer to acquire them. Quite right. The truth is, we'll be making evaluations. We'll shed any employees who don't make the cut, slowly but surely. By incorporating Infinity, we eliminate a competitor, get their best employees and contracts, and all while boosting our public perception.
I suppose it is all very simple when you do not consider the impact on actual human lives. Just your bottom line.
We've already done some initial evaluations, so I'm certain of it. Infinity has a lot of appeal being in New Atlantis. I'm sure plenty of brilliant minds are there because they prefer the location. Plus, there's always that handful of people that think they've got something to prove by not working for Ryujin. As if other corporations are really any better. That's certainly our hope. Any employee with a sense of drive is sure to show themselves. Which is why I'd like you to talk to the board to convince them this is the right move. There are several who might disagree, and you have the perfect tool to help sway them. Yes, that's exactly what it's designed for. The bright side being, they'll never know. I know you can as well, so now you're fully aware of my expectations. You'll find most of the board members in their offices preparing. Vina is also here, waiting for the meeting to start. We'll need at least 50% of the vote to go our way. In the event of a tie, I will make the final decision. I trust you'll get it done.
Did Masako send you to try and convince me to acquire Infinity Ltd? I think we both know that's not going to work. Our public perception is good enough. If you ask me, reaching out to save Infinity just makes us look weak. The internal neuroamp gives us the power to crush our competitors, not take them under our wing. This is exactly why Masako's time as CEO is finished. I'll overlook your poorly educated statement, for now. Throwing your competitor a lifeline when they're about to crash and burn hardly seems wise. The corporate world will hear SSNN's story and believe Ryujin exposed Infinity because they stole from us. It sends a strong message. But acquiring Infinity could be interpreted as a safety net. Infinity tried to screw us over, yet they still survived. We need to be sending a much stronger message. If you mess with Ryujin, we'll shut you down. Period. Well, it does make Ryujin look good. And we do gain a wider customer base, which means higher profits. You're oddly right about this one, Op. I guess you are worth keeping around. As long as everyone has Ryujin's best interests in mind, this should make for an interesting meeting. Maybe not for a lowly operative, but for me, personally, I think it'll be one to remember. Now, if you'll excuse me, I still have a lot of preparations to make.
So much work to do. Great, the bane of my department. If you need something, make it quick. You don't recall our conversation after you were hired? Any legal troubles you cause are my troubles? Steer clear of law enforcement? You've been very busy, and therefore I've been very busy. You heard correct. I've every reason to believe that Infinity Ltd is the Pandora's box of corporations. I can guarantee that Infinity Ltd was up to more than just the current charges. The process of finding and following up on all those threads won't be easy. I refuse to be blindsided by another corporation's past, so this is going to take a lot of time and patience. All right, I could use the entertainment. Tell me why Infinity is a good asset. A certain amount of confidence during the negotiations would go a long way in this situation. Huh. Well, what do you know? I think you just convinced me. Talent like yours belongs in the courtroom. Unfortunately, half my department's been poring over documentation, while the other half is writing up what legal guidance they can. Nice to know someone is. Everyone's too busy praising its completion to think about the dangers it could represent. First off, if I find out you used that device on me, I will tie you up in court on whatever charges I can conjure for the rest of your life. Second, that tech is one major human rights violation that no legal team wants to fight. I'll do whatever I can to make sure it's either severely delayed or collects dust in storage. Because the external neuroamps are built to help the user on a personal level. They aid in reason, communication, confidence, all things that can make the difference in a person's self-image. And yes, they can be abused. But that's why there are laws regarding improper usage. In an ideal situation, yes. And I suppose creating that ideal situation is within my power. Now you've made it sound like a proper challenge that I can't help but accept. Masako's lucky to have you at her disposal, even if you are a continual thorn in my side. You may be the greatest asset, aside from the internal neuroamp, that Ryujin has. This exchange has been surprisingly insightful. But now, I really do need to get back to my notes.
Hey there. And how's my favorite patient doing? Not seeing any temporal memory flashes or losing time, I hope. What? No, of course not. They're purely theoretical. That's great. I'd say Project Dominion is ready for legitimate human trials in that case. One step closer to seeing market approval. Genevieve is going to be so excited. So, tell me what you think of the neuroamp. Well, not the most extensive feedback I've ever heard, but at least it sounds like it's working. So the next question is, what will the fate of Infinity Ltd be? I'd like to acquire them, although it won't break my heart if we don't. Faye may have stepped over a line in her attempt to replicate my work, but she's a brilliant engineer. I'm very curious to see what else she may have been working on and dig into her research. That's what I'm hoping for. They may be the underdog, but that doesn't mean they don't have a brilliant mind or two. Well, this has certainly been the most interesting conversation of my day. All we can do now is look forward to the meeting, right? See you in there.
This meeting should prove to be very interesting. I assume Masako briefed you on her preferred outcome. With that internal neuro-amp, no doubt.
It would be almost fitting to see the technology immediately turned on those who fostered its creation.
If it were up to me, I'd have shut down Project Dominion a long time ago. I knew it was a grave security risk, and look what happened. Completely. I understand the success it can bring for the corporation, but my only concern here is security. It's not that the board majority fails to see the dangers. It's that they believe we can overcome them. That hubris could easily bring this corporation down one day. I only hope it won't be on my watch. It's not often, but yes. And I'm not the only board member that initially voted against moving forward with the research. I suppose you're right. As long as I'm fully aware of the risks, I can properly account for them. My first priority will be to get the board and all security members set up with shielding as soon as possible. Plus, if we vote to acquire Infinity Ltd., we're about to add a significant workload onto my team. The last thing I want to deal with are any more incidents this new neuro-amp might cause. Well, the timing could be better, but I don't feel strongly one way or another about the acquisition. We've gone through our fair share in the past, and this one would be no different. If Masako wishes to bring Infinity into the fold, I will not stand against it. I imagine we're looking at months of work. Infinity Ltd. is obviously not known for their security. I only hope that Masako and the others will be patient with the process. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some preparations to make. We'll be announcing Ularu's termination of employment at this meeting, so I need to have security ready to escort her off the premises.
Keep out of my way and I'll keep out of yours.
I'm glad we're making an effort in our appearance today. Just the person I wanted to see. I want to get all the details locked down for this meeting, and I believe you to be one of the best sources available. Good. I prefer first-hand feedback when available. You've had the chance to encounter members of Infinity Ltd. Throughout your assignments here. Do you think they're worth redemption? And why? You can tell a lot by just looking at a workspace or simply observing a person in their business environment. Perhaps I mistakenly assumed that as an operative here, observation was a talent of yours. Saving the jobs of thousands is altruistic, which is not a luxury corporations have. It's a financial burden. It would be a huge undertaking on my part. That is a plea more well spent on Genevieve or Alexis. I prefer to focus on the numbers and leave emotions out of my decision-making. Perhaps I wanted to see if I could be convinced otherwise. It's easy to say, it's the right thing to do for someone in your position. But for me, Infinity Ltd. Is a huge financial unknown. It's high risk versus mediocre reward. This is true. Infinity never had the financial resources to match our salary offers. Getting what few capable employees they have at half the salary we typically pay here could have major payoffs in the long run. Next question. What is your opinion on how Masako handled the mole situation? Any insight into what made it successful? Maintaining one's reason in a time of panic speaks volumes about a person's capabilities. I appreciate the insight. I suppose I should ask if there's anything I can do for you, considering how helpful you've been. It's the next big step for Ryujin Industries. Financially, it'll keep us secure for years to come. There's no doubt it's our future. This has been rather enlightening for me. I appreciate the time.
Is Masako checking up on me to make sure I'm on her side? Because that's what I do. You want something in this business? You don't pull any punches. The only real question is just how persuasive she asked you to be. In this business, there's always a side. And right now, I'm backing Masako. We just need to grab Infinity Ltd. While it's got the public's full attention. I'm all about free PR, especially when it's painting us in a good light. Infinity is that sad company in distress with thousands of employees terrified of their futures right now. We are the warm embrace of security coming to rescue them. The only downsides are the unknowns. Lyndon and Alexis are gonna have a lot on their hands. Not that I'm getting off easy. Whatever they find, if it hits the public, that's gonna fall on my shoulders too. I'm sure I can squeeze enough goodwill out of this to last us at least a year. The consumer is our lifeblood, so capturing their wants and desires, of course it's all I care about. I'm sure I wouldn't be in this position today if it wasn't. Well, you have my attention. Of course, which is why I know it requires some very delicate handling. But unlike Alexis, I believe we can get the proper restrictions and regulations in place to have a marketable product. We do it every day with weapons we arm ourselves and our ships with. Don't I know it? I think Alexis and I are truly gonna have our work cut out for one another. We'll discuss security ramifications with Dalton, and I'm sure there are alterations, safety nets, if you will, that we'll need from Vina. It's sure to be quite the undertaking. Well, it seems your talents really do stretch beyond just being an operative. Good talk. Maybe I'll even consult you on future endeavors.
All right, everyone. As you all know, we've successfully exposed Infinity Ltd's botched human trials and murder for hire through SSNN. The public is demanding their leadership, namely Lucas Drexler, face trial, and he's probably writing his resignation as we speak. Ryujin will be launching a statement, but I believe now is the perfect time to acquire Infinity Ltd.
Believe it or not, I agree. The acquisition has risks, and it's going to create a lot of work for all of us. But the overall payoff will be worth it.
That and Infinity Ltd's current situation makes them more affordable than ever.
Arguments? None? Excellent. Moving on, then.
I think what we're all overlooking is what led us to this situation to begin with. Yes, our security was compromised. But considering Dalton was hired by Masako, the issue obviously starts at the top. In fact, I propose that Masako be removed from CEO altogether.
Ularu, this isn't a line you want to cross.
And considering you're the mole, if anyone's going to be removed from power, it's going to be you.
Hold up. Are you saying you lied to us?
Dalton, the last meeting we had, you distinctly said Imogene was the mole, and she'd been dealt with.
Do you even have any proof to back up this outrageous claim?
Of course we do. The malicious code you hid on this slate to upload incriminating evidence against Masako onto Lucas Drexler's computer.
To put it bluntly, Ularu, you're fired. Security will hold you in your office until a proper exit interview can be done.
This isn't right. I should at least have the opportunity to resign.
And allow you to still be marketable to a competitor? I don't think so. This may be news to me, and I will be reviewing the evidence closely. But this isn't something you just get to walk away from.
Security, escort Miss Chen to her office and see that she stays put.
You'll regret this. All of you.
I believe the only regret would be trusting you to begin with.
All right, back to business. All in favor of acquiring Infinity Ltd?
Aye.
Good. Alexis, start drawing up the necessary documentation. Anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up? If there's nothing else, this meeting is concluded. I'll be following up with a few of you shortly.
If only there were more hours in the day.
I'm glad we're making an effort in our appearance today.
So, Infinity Ltd learned a lesson the hard way, and we exposed the traitor among us. You've proven yourself to be quite the asset here at Ryujin. It's well earned and deserved. I truly appreciate the work you put into exposing Ularu. No operative has ever had to investigate our own to the extent that you did. I can imagine it may have been a lot of pressure, considering you were fairly new at the time.
There was no honor in Ularu's plan. It did not deserve to succeed.
Not often, and certainly not to this degree. We have the occasional employee consider selling information, but thanks to our security and operations teams, we always catch them before any damage can be done. This was the first time anyone from either department was involved. Imogene's instincts were right about you. Now, as promised, I have your bonus. I hope you'll find it appropriate for all you've done. And I'm promoting you to senior operative. You've more than earned it. It's well deserved. As for the details, I think someone back on the operations floor would prefer to explain those to you.
I'm not here.
You've certainly shaken things up around here. I still can't believe Ularu tried to frame me. An obvious